Here's a video on making a cattail leaf coil basket, and this would be suitable for carrying Easter eggs and the such. And we're just using cattail leaves, basically the stout and fibrous base, as our medium to coil. And it's about in my region about early to mid March, so just really late winter, early spring. So go out and harvest these and just split them down and then twist them and sew them in with some cordage. So I'm gonna show how I put this together. So we're harvesting last year's cattail leaves from this cattail stand. There's plenty of materials to work with. The tips are very brittle, so I want the close to the ground, the thicker parts that are still quite fibrous and pliable. So what you're gonna need is cordage primarily, and here's some natural fibers. This is dog bane, nettles would work, cattail fibers would work, milkweed fibers would work, bark fibers would work, a plastic bag would work, strip clothing, anything that'll give you a pretty strong string or twine. Okay, and so here's an example, like I said, of some dog bane here. Here's some store-bought sisal twine that most likely is what I'm going to use, because I had to take this from the environment, and I don't want to take too much from the environment, so I'll just go ahead and use some store-bought. But as an example, you can go completely natural and primitive and harvest and process your own fibers. And then wax nylon is really good, or artificial sinew is really good to have on hand as well. I like using that as well. It's very strong too. Next, you'll want to have some gauges, and this is a bone gauge here, and it's just a turkey bone. I think it's the radius from the wing, or the humerus from the wing of a turkey. From Thanksgiving last year sometime. And then this is a deer bone, and then this is pork bone, and this has the marrow pushed out, and so that's why it's hollow. Bird bones are very good to use because they already come hollow, and some other larger animals you kind of have to bore or scrape the marrow meshing out of the center. And these were cut with a hand saw, like a hacksaw or a Dremel tool, and or you can use a knife, something with a serrated edge, and then some sandpaper to get the size that you want. You can also use a stone tool, a sharp edge stone tool, to cut your bone or score your bone, and then just pop it, and then use some sandpaper or sandstone to smooth the edges down. So gauges are nice to have on hand. It's not essential, but if you want uniform coils, then a gauge is a good idea. Gauges are a good idea. Next is you're going to have needles, and here is store-bought knitting needle, and this comes in handy. You can make wood or bone needles. This is a bone awl set that I put together, and again, this is made from the leg of a turkey bone, and this is birch bark casing, and then here's some pork bone needles inside here, like so. So here's one that we'll probably use, and these have just been sanded down, and then a hole has been scored through to create the needle. So you can make your own tools from scratch if you need to in a primitive survival situation, and you need to make coil basketry. So we're probably going to be using this. I'm going to set that aside and put this away, and then we'll be all set to start our coil basket.